Hi, everybody, and welcome to the Friday edition of Moohead Radio. I'm your host, a fur-clipped bovine. And joining me today, it's the panel. Tony the
Forklift
Captain,
bovine? What?
my fur clip.
Oh, I thought I heard
I'm still
forklift.
doing
I
my
was
own
like, what?
hair,
Yeah, that too.
Brian and Bronk and Derek, and we're all here, and I hope you're here too. You know, the last program we did on Monday had over 250 viewers, which is really good by the standards of this, shabby program. But what's really cool about all of this is, with all of the tension in the country right now, all of us get along really well on the panel, and I hope you do too. And we're here to talk about the thing that unifies.
Kiss my ass, Brock.
That unifies us, which is an interesting sport, and that's why we're here. I'm really looking forward to the game on Sunday. I really am, and I can't say that about many of the other games this year because I get this thing where I'm doing a podcast and I have to figure out what I'm going to talk about and what angle I'm going to take. And, games like last week's game, it would have been a real bummer to lose to Cincinnati after you are trying to convince yourself and others that, the team's improved and Baker had been so horrible in his game before. And, and we got out with a win, which is all you can ask for basically on the road is to get out with a W. And the same thing, I thought that the Colts were going to be a little strong for us, and it didn't turn out that way. And now it's the Raiders, and this is a very fair game, okay? This is a game that is truly a toss-up because the two teams are so similar in so many ways that it makes for the opposites attract thing that we've had going on where we're playing a great defensive team and we were scoring over 30 points a game, but we have no defense. Now suddenly we're playing kind of a similar kind of team, a team that has seemingly no defense, but puts up points on the board, a team that has obviously won a game this year that nobody would have expected them to win. And, I'm just looking something up.
But to be fair, I think the Kansas City Chiefs were playing two crappy games back to back. They played horrible but won against the Chargers, and then they played the Raiders and got beat.
Well, I mean, I look at this and, I watched the Panthers basically lose to the Falcons, all right? But the Panthers got off to a good start this year, but the Raiders beat them 34-30. This is just catching everybody up. The Raiders beat the Saints 34-24, and that's pretty good. They lost to the Patriots by giving 36 points up to the Patriots, and I don't know how you do that. They lost 36-20. They played the Bills tough at 30-23, but lost. Then they turn around and they beat the Chiefs at their own game, 40-32, and then they get mauled by the Bucks, 45-20. And so that's what sets up the stage for this week's game. So that you understand what's going on in Brown's world. Myles Garrett did not practice except in a limited fashion today. He's had an ankle tweak, but he's going to be ready to go full bore, and which is good because the Raiders are getting Trent Brown back, their offensive lineman, who is their best offensive lineman. And, I think it'll be an interesting struggle. One thing that is different about the Browns and the Raiders have been unable to really get their running game going. And there's a question among some people whether they actually have a running game. Derek Carr is completing 72% of his passes. I mean, and he's throwing for 296 yards a game. He's thrown for 1,726 yards this season. And, he's kind of got the Phillip Rivers kind of accuracy, right? But he has a long of 72 this year, and he can hurt you, although the strategy has been to kind of push the ball up the field. They're not a big strike team, but the Cleveland secondary is obviously open to big strikes. He's thrown 13.
Ruggs is going to have a day.
Yeah, Henry Ruggs is Raiders' number 1 or 2 wide receiver, and that guy's a burner. He's Randy Moss. He'll just run right by you. So better not put Sendejo on him, or it's going to be a long day.
Well, that's their job is to isolate Sendejo on their receivers and pick that guy to throw to. But I mean, Carr has thrown 13 touchdowns. He's only been intercepted twice, so you really can't expect that your secondary is going to swipe a hell of a lot from this guy. He's been sacked 11 times, and his quarterback rating is at 112.8. Here's the weak part of the team is that Josh Jacobs has run the ball 116 times, but only has 394 yards. That's a paltry 3.4 yards per carry. And they really don't have anybody who's attempted more than 20 rushes besides. So, again,
but he is a good running back, though. So he can pop off any game.
Well, but the thing is, getting Trent Brown back, that's why that's very important to the Raiders, because their running game has been stifled. The longest run for Josh Jacobs this year is only 16 yards, and they're only averaging 65.7 yards per game. So, there's that. In the receiving, obviously, Ruggs this season has played 4 games. He's only caught 8 passes, but an average of 26.5 yards per catch. Then you have Nelson Aguilar. He previously of the Eagles, I believe.
Correct, yep.
And Aguilar is averaging 19.5 yards per catch.
Yeah, he started really slow, but he's been good for about 80 yards and a touchdown for about 3 straight weeks.
And a lot of people felt that Aguilar was strictly a possession receiver when he played with the Eagles, but he has a long of 59, and Ruggs a long of 72. Hunter Renfrow, another wide receiver, he has 21 receptions, a 13.5 yard average. And there's a guy who is a little more possession-like, but he still has a long of 42. It's not like this team can't make chunk plays. This is not like Phillip Rivers, where even though we gave up 2 long passes to Phillip Rivers, they're going to take their shots when they get opportunities in favorable statistical situations. So there's a lot of guys who are catching footballs on this team. Double-digit catches for Waller. We haven't even talked about him, and he is a true possession tight end who can get down the field, but he's kind of what, every team has a tight end who can catch and block, okay? And that's what Austin Hooper is to us. That's what Darren Waller is to them, an average of 8.6 yards per catch along a 23, but he has caught 40 passes on 55 targets. And that is what Derek Carr is going to be looking at if he senses any pressure in the pocket whatsoever. But you got Waller, Aguilar, Renfrew, and Jacobs, the running back, has 18 catches out of the backfield. And then you have Ruggs, who has 8 receptions but has only played 4 games. So they can spread the ball around. This is no laughable offense here.
And their backup tight end is Jason Witten, who may be old, but remember Jason Witten of old. He can run up some yards really quick.
And the fact of the matter is they're deep enough that one guy getting hurt isn't going to screw them out of the game. Our guy's already gotten hurt. We're going to see what it does to us. At the same time that their offense is really efficient and is putting up points, as we said earlier, the defense is just, they're very much like, I hate to bring them up, but Perry Mason.
Oh, boy.
Well, the defense rests. Okay. Because that's what they do. They rest. And they haven't been doing a whole hell of a lot. again, the total number of sacks, 7, and their quarterback's been sacked 11 times. They don't have a bona fide pass rusher. They have Max Crosby, a defensive end who has 4 sacks, and that's 4 out of 7, babe. So, I mean, this is not a team that has been pressuring anybody, and that's the reason they gave up 36 points to the Patriots. And God only knows, Cam Newton may not have a job for long, right? But they
How
gave
many
up.
sacks does Clelin Ferrell have? They took him number 4 overall.
Let me take a look. I'm seeing if, and by the way, Carl Nassib has half of a sack this year and is really not playing a whole hell of a lot.
He had a better season in Tampax Bay.
Yes, that appears to be the case. And who am I looking for?
Clelin Ferrell has 14 total tackles, no sacks, 1 tackle for loss.
There you go.
What a waste of a 4th pick.
Well,
Clemson and Georgia. I can't remember.
How you end up with a bad defense.
They don't have many sacks. I mean, they've got 1 from Nevin Lawson, a cornerback.
Yeah.
4 from Max Crosby, a defensive end. But other than that, they got much.
The thing is with Clelin, he wasn't that bad in college, but he was one of those guys who had some pretty big flaws, and he was supposed to get taken a lot later, probably mid to late first, and the Raiders are the idiots who took him 4. Same thing they did with Damon Arnett this year. He's not bad, but he's not number whatever they picked him. I don't know. That's just sad how you waste that high of a pick.
No, we've seen it a lot. So, I mean, Daniel Carlson, their place kicker, 13 of 14 field goals made. That's 92.9%. So there's no weak sister there. And their punter is averaging a net of 39 and 44.6 yards per punt. If you compare this now to our beloved Cleveland Browns, there's a little bit more balance developing here. Baker Mayfield is up to 1,392 yards. He's completing 63% of his passes, and he's getting 204 yards that he's passing for per game. I think what I see, what pops is the fact that our leading rusher, Kareem Hunt, is averaging 4.6 yards per carry, and which is not Nick Chubb, folks. Nick Chubb was averaging what he has been since he's come to Cleveland, over 5 yards a carry this year when he was playing. Very different types of running backs. But Kareem Hunt gives us a little bit more in the passing game than what Nick Chubb would give us. I wish we had both, all right? But not ready yet. And so that you also know, we were talking about who's going to play, who's not. Wyatt Teller's not going to be playing. He's out again. So
is Hooper and that linebacker there out too.
Yeah,
Phillips.
Yeah, Phillips.
So
he's good when he's on the field.
When he's on the field, that's the
key if.
But again, Baker Mayfield, if you look, he's been sacked, 11 times. So he and Derek Carr have been sacked the same number of times, right? Except our guy gets sacked when they're playing really, really good teams, obviously. I think that he got beaten up by 2 teams really bad. I can't speak for Derek Carr, how he took his sacks. But when you look at our defense, our defense...
And number 2, please.
We have
he took him like Pete the Puma.
We have 18 sacks, and by himself, Myles Garrett, has half of those sacks. So
DPOY.
Yeah, so they're going to have to hold him off. That's the deal. But we have more than twice as many sacks as the Raiders do. But our secondary can't stop a damn thing. We're giving up so much passing yardage, it's nutty. And but
I really think that the weather is going to affect that. So
what are they saying? What is the forecast up there?
It's supposed to be cold, windy, and rainy. So it's going to be a sloppy field with a wet ball. in high wind,
Ugh.
lakefront wind. So I don't think that there's going to be a 300-yard passer in this game.
Yeah, and I'd like to tell you that our running game has looked as efficient without Chubb, but it has not. And the strength of the two running backs are very, very different. I mean, Kareem Hunt is more shot out of a cannon kind of guy, builds up a head of steam, and he isn't what I would call a patient runner. I mean, Nick Chubb is a very patient runner. He will wait that little split second, kind of like Marcus Allen used to do, that little split second just so we can get that cutback. And that's where he gains not only the initial yards, but he's dangerous to break things further. He has remarkable field vision. As far as Hunt is concerned, it's more, this is where the play is directed. He's got to hit the line. I don't like Kareem Hunt running east-west. I'd like to see him run to where the play is being blocked and getting up the field.
He's first.
That's right. And he's kind of a hard, quick hitting back as opposed to a Nick Chubb who's a less blocking, developed kind of back. And but Kareem Hunt gives us a bona fide receiver out of the backfield, and he can.
Dearness Johnson should have a lot of carries in this game as well.
Yeah, and well, I'm afraid with a wet ball, what that might mean.
I think with Kareem, I think they need to just bounce him out more because it seems like they're trying to go through the same scheme. I think they need to get him on some sweeps and whatnot just to get him out in space because that's when he's best. Not that he can't do it, but he's not a between the tackles guy at all.
No, what I see though is, when he starts running east-west because a play is kind of jammed up, the play's over. The best plays are the plays where he is running not inside the tackles per se, but not full sweep. He's able to get up ahead of steam and hit a hole and kind of plow from there. But he's really important for the Browns because of third down conversion. There's opportunities, you throw a ball out to him and he's one-on-one with somebody. He's got more wiggle than Nick Chubb does. And so he will pick up yards after contact like Chubb, but differently by kind of jiggling his way and, beating somebody to the first down marker. And that is, same thing with the goal line. He scores so much because he really has a sense for where the goal line is and how to get there. Some running backs are just like that. So now what I'm going to ask the panel is based on the weather. All these predictions that I'm seeing around from national sources are like 30 to 27 kinds of scores.
Well, they're expecting the weather to be like they're thinking the weather's going to be like it was in Cincinnati, and it's not.
Yeah, I mean, obviously they don't know if they pick that score. And the thing that's going to be self-limiting, maybe the defense, is, again, the middle of the field, which is the problem with the Browns secondary. Anywhere in the field, actually, is the problem with the Browns secondary. It looks like maybe both teams are going to get stops just because of weather conditions, and that short passing is going to be the name of the game, which is ball possession, which is what Derek Carr can do and what Baker Mayfield can do. But it's going to be interesting. And kicks, too. Kicking is going to become a very important factor in a game like this on a wet track with wind. And the question is how Parkey handles the swirling winds in Cleveland. So it'll be an interesting thing. I mean, do you think this is going to radically affect the ability of the Browns to score points?
Yes, it will definitely be a challenge to put up huge numbers, but I think you're still going to see you might see one team over 20 points.
Yeah. And are you hearing me, Bronk? No?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Yeah.
Sorry, I don't know if you were asking for me. I had to take my headset off quick. I got a phone call.
Okay.
Sorry.
What do you think, Tony? Is this going to affect how many points the Browns are going to be capable of scoring? And what is that?
Are we talking about like the weather? So I was
right.
away for like 3 or 4 minutes. Sorry.
Yeah, we're talking about the winds, wet track, windy conditions, full bore lake, kind of front weather that we get in Cleveland.
I do absolutely, because I think like in rain games you aren't going to throw as much. And now that the Browns have lost the one receiver that truly can get some deep separation, I know how much you don't like Odell Beckham, but he was their speedy receiver. I don't know if you can really throw as much as you used to, and now you're going to rely on. I don't know if is Kareem Hunt healthy enough to do 30 snaps or 30 rushes. I don't know.
No, I mean you're obviously going to see,
Ernest Johnson. Yeah, and Dontrell Hilliard. Now, do you trust those guys and
with the handle
with significant, and getting significant snaps?
It changes the look. Tight ends become very important in this kind of an arrangement because of short passing games. And I want to have the final word on this whole Odell Beckham thing.
Mm-hmm.
There is such a thing as a talented wide receiver, and there is such a thing as an offensive scheme. And things have to work hand in hand. In other words, the coach has to be able to use the pieces that he has on his chessboard the best way that he can use them. And the players have to be able to work within the confines of the system. And to me, it always looked like Odell Beckham wanted to fly down the field, but it never really looked like he was really looking to beat people over the middle. And the fact is that this offense is all about breaking off patterns and being on the same page as the quarterback. We saw that with Rashard Higgins, and we've been seeing it with Harrison Bryant, and we've been seeing it with Austin Hooper, and we've been seeing it with Jarvis Landry, but we weren't seeing it with OBJ. And it may just be the wrong system. It may be the wrong time in his life to play in this system. It may never have been the right system, but now it's a moot point because he ain't playing and he ain't going to play, and he may never play another game again as a Brown. You just don't know, because everybody's going to be getting a chance to play, and somebody will either rise to the occasion and DPJ is either going to be like a ghost and disappear, and it's like, wow, he was a one-hit wonder, or he's going to continue to improve and help out the quarterback. Rashard Higgins, we'll see if he's able to continue to carry an important load, although he has a great pair of hands. And then the issue is who runs a better pattern on a wet track. Then we don't know that exactly. We were talking about that Browns gratification. Their offense is developed.
But it's very pass heavy, and I don't think in these upcoming conditions, playing outside, because they're not in their dome, they're playing outside, and Derek Carr is going to be handling a very wet ball. So I don't know that they're going to really be as scary as they have been. And they only put up 20 points against the Buccaneers.
Well, I mean, the Buccaneers were ahead in that game 24-17, then 24-20. And then all of a sudden, man, it was like out of hand. They had the ball for the rest of the game. And the Raiders just all went away real quick. The real issue for Cleveland, I think, is that somebody besides Myles Garrett has to represent. I mean, somebody's got to stand up and play a football game here, and that defensive line has to be stout. Yeah, bro.
What's this stuff about Olivier Vernon is going on? I saw that he's on the trade block, or It's up to
They
you.
were questioning whether they were looking at potentially trading him. I mean, the thing is that these guys are dinged up and not particularly performing well, and it's leaving too many opportunities to chip block and double and triple team Myles Garrett, and it's making it life very difficult because what we're seeing is the outside rush of Myles getting through, but we're not seeing that up the gut pressure. And that up the gut pressure is exactly what you need against Derek Carr. You want to flush him because he's not fast. He's not like playing Lamar Jackson. It isn't like that. It's a lot.
What you want to do is push the blocker into him.
That's right.
Ram the blocker into it so he can't go up in the pocket.
And it's not like he's the biggest guy in the world, and you can get your paws up and block passes if you're really, just breaking down the pocket, But we haven't seen that. Nobody's doing that. And, if you're going to rely on blitzes, our secondary is confused enough. And you see what happens when there's broken coverages that are really inspired by blitzes because it takes into account that those guys will do their job. And that if we're throwing one or two defensive backs into a blitz scheme, that's going to leave people on an island. And the safeties, if they don't know what their coverage is, they're going to give up big plays.
And Waller is great at beating a blitz.
No,
all he has to do is get 6 to 8 yards down the field, and he could end up with a 17-yard play.
Right.
Just a question on the offensive scheme we saw last week. Do you think that is going to be here to stay? Do you think that was just a product of that the Bengals defense was horrendously shitty? Or, it's kind of hard to tell, but
it didn't.
Well, that was kind of a field.
Like they were real shitty in the beginning of the game when Baker was 0 for 5 and his receivers were completely covered. But something changed, and again. Whether it was that Baker had a hangover from the previous loss, whether it was the play calling was suspect in the beginning of the game, but everything was open after that. Was that really a different kind of scheme? Well, I mean, when you're playing from behind the whole fucking game, you kind of have to play that way. And I don't think that's the way that the Browns would choose to play. But when you don't have Nick Chubb to control along, it's one thing. Kareem Hunt now is averaging almost 20 touches per game. And that's much more than what he was getting when Chubb was playing. And Chubb's a wear him out kind of guy who would be ideal for the kind of weather that they'll be facing on Sunday. I see that Derek is texting that both Vernon and Njoku are on the block. And Njoku, of course, that. And Vernon just hasn't been the guy we wanted him to be. And there's been occasional Sheldon Richardson sightings, but we're just not seeing anything from our interior line. And it's really, it's not been bad against the run like it has been in previous years, but honest to God, the pass rush is anemic. And I don't know what the issue is, but they're easily blocked. That would be the nicest way I could put it. And I agree with this, Rick. Again, here's what's at stake. This is a huge, huge game for the Raiders. And the reason is because at 3-3, they can get on the winning side and on the good foot, and they have an easy part of their schedule coming up. So they could be right back into contention with teams like Cleveland for a playoff spot, that added playoff spot that the NFL is positioned for this year due to the COVID situation. Honestly, the Browns at 5-2, you go into the halfway point and into your bye week at 6-2, and you vanquish the Raiders into 3-4. You've hurt their playoffs chances tremendously. This is a huge game for the Raiders, and for the Browns, it is more of a show me kind of thing because the Browns aren't going to be favorites with the way they've been roller coastering. They're not going to be favorites from week to week. And they're not a clear favorite. They're a 2.5 point favorite in the game by the overall betting line. But when you start looking at what pundits are saying, you see that this is a coin flip. This is not a done deal. I think one of the more interesting things that Rick said in the chat room is, how is the weather going to affect the Raiders? And, these are the kinds of things that our team was built for for our division. And our division, are with us and other teams in the East, like Buffalo, historically, in Pittsburgh, you run the football. You've got to be able to control the line of scrimmage. And I wish we had Nick Chubb. But our offensive line is far better at mauling people than, because remember, the offensive lineman knows where he's going. The defensive lineman doesn't know where in the hell it's going. And a sloppy track is very hard in some instances to gain the traction that a Miles Garrett would need for that incredible bend move that he makes to get around the corner. Yeah, if your cleats give out, and the turf blows up, you're not going to be able to make that kind of a pass rush. You could have a quagmire right at the line of scrimmage, and quarterbacks might have time to throw. That it's going to be interesting, because I don't know how bad it's going to be. Have they given an expected wind, miles per hour of wind, gusts in the stadium? Anybody aware of that?
I haven't looked at the weather, Brian. Do you know anything?
I posted it. Let me scroll up here. 40 degrees and dropping, winds out of the west at 17 miles an hour with gusts. Chance of rain dropping to 40%, changing to snow around 4 p.m.
Oh, well, awesome.
Yeah, well, I mean, hopefully the game will be all but decided by then. And what were
Slot
the
Bowl 3.0?
What were the gusts going up to, Brian?
He didn't list that, but I would say probably in the 25 to 30 range.
25, yeah. I mean, that would
if it's going to be a steady 17, that's probably my best guess.
Yeah.
Ain't going to make many passing if you're looking at 20-mile-an-hour winds, I'll tell you that.
Well, and forget a 40-yard field goal, because it's just going to blow wide whatever.
Well, the question is it going to be in somebody's face? And is it going to be one of those you got to make hay in your two possession, your quarters where you're facing in a certain direction?
Or is the wind going to come from the sides and everybody's just fucked?
That's right. Is it going to be a clusterfuck quarter or two quarters?
If I remember when they had when they had the kicker in to talk to the other guys, and they were going to do his Ring of Honor kind of thing. He was talking about you had to pay attention to a specific flag, because that's going to tell you what's actually happening around the goalpost when you're kicking to the dog pound.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting, because usually the wind swirls in the stadium, so it's very unpredictable, and it can change directions or just blow up in a heartbeat. And it's almost like a big bowl where all this wind is coming in, and it's like wind shear coming into the stadium, and it's very unpredictable. So my first impressions would be it's going to affect 4 quarters of the game, not 2 quarters for teams, and it's going to require the turnovers might.
He said. I said out of the west, it will be along the field, not across it. So you're going to have it at your back for 2 of the 4 quarters.
Well, I mean, we'll see. The kicking game, it might be different, because I've seen where they say that's the case and the wind just moves the ball like 7 yards, in the air. I've seen this happen in Cleveland Brown Stadium. One of the things, Rashard Higgins, I really openly wonder if he is really helping the team, but he may be a real kind of funny guy to deal with. Here's what Kevin Stefanski said about Rashard Higgins after basically Rashard Higgins bailed his ass out. The question was how giving Rashard Higgins a clean slate to start the season has helped Higgins and his first impressions of Higgins. Here's the answer. I gave everybody a clean slate. Since the moment he's been with us, whether on Zoom calls back in the spring or out here in the practice field when we finally got together, he does his job. It is somewhat as simple as that. He does his job and makes sure whatever the team needs, he's going to do. On if Higgins goes above and beyond in practice, he does do a nice job. We have the mile per hour numbers on all the guys and the yardage that they go based on GPS. He is one of those guys that can just run all day. I do appreciate that about him. Now, I wonder if he's the kind of guy who he's confident, he does his thing, and I wonder if he maybe rubs a few people the wrong way. I don't know that because I'm not close to the team. I just wonder because you would think that a coach would just be praising this guy. Maybe he knows better not to. I don't know. But basically, he kept it very simple and brief and concise. Does he go above and beyond in practice? What we know is that he runs a lot in practice, but that doesn't necessarily mean he's going above and beyond in practice. And he has said that about a number of players, including Austin Hooper, including Daryl Hodge. He has gone out of his way to say just how hard these players work in practice. So it's an interesting question, and it's something just to kind of be looking at.
I did see they designated Kadarius. I almost called him Kadarius Dodge, like you call him. They designated him for return. Is he going to be back this week?
Looks like it, I guess.
Yeah. I mean, my understanding is that he's full go. I do not know
because if just memory serves me from how much the Browns have liked Kadarius Hodge, that might hamper Higgins' output, if you will.
Well, I mean, yeah.
Can you see? I'm sharing the BBC hour by hour Cleveland weather.
We're going to add this to the stream.
Yes, there it is.
Very good.
Now, there it's saying 40-some mile-an-hour winds. I mean, we're talking 45 mile-an-hour winds at game time. High chance of precipitation: 82%, 81%, 79%, 79%. 50 mile-an-hour winds at 3 o'clock. This is Cleveland, Ohio weather, and that is absolute filth. So the Raiders are going to be flying into that. They're not going to do shit on Sunday.
Are you sure those are mile per hour figures?
Those are mile per hour. They're not kilometer per hour. They're a mile per hour. The temperatures are in centigrade, obviously, but they are mile per hour.
I mean, are they saying that basically, am I reading this right? That the winds are going to go up to 50 to 60 miles an hour? Am I missing
What the hell?
That's what it's saying.
That would be like a fucking hurricane barreling through.
Yeah, I don't understand. I mean, it sounds
and your
like
final score: Browns 2, Raiders nothing.
It's going to be like the Eric Mangina 6-3 win over the Bills.
And Carr's under shotgun. He takes the snap. It flies to the right and into the end zone for a safety. What the?
Strong winds from the west.
Oof.
Yeah, I don't know what to say about that.
I'm gonna go to AccuWeather just to double check. Don't been wrong. Wow.
Well,
What the hell?
And wait a sec here.
Ohio.
I'm not really sure of
stop that screen if you want.
okay.
Rick said, "Wins that high, Wade Jackson will get blown into
Blown
the
into the lake, right?
Blown to the lake, Christ. All right, let's see. Sunday further ahead.
Sunday at Dragway 42.
Kickoff 12 p.m. Cloudy 46. Real feel 33. Wind 27 miles an hour, gusts to 32. 1 o'clock 46. 27 miles an hour, gusts to 33.
This is miles per hour wind speed. I'm not sure.
2 o'clock 27 miles an hour, 32 mile an hour wind gusts. 43 partly sunny, 33 mile an hour wind gusts. It's going to be a windy day in Cleveland.
Yeah, absolutely.
Wind speed miles per hour.
And
it looks like the rain will hold. It looks like the rain will hold off until about the third or fourth quarter. So,
yeah, and again, when it comes in, it's going to swoop in. Obviously,
is this part of that hurricane or Hurricane Catherine Zeta-Jones or something?
Catherine Zeta-Jones.
Yeah, you guys are running out of Greek
everybody gets instant throat cancer.
That's funny.
Hey, you ever notice that everything on the NOAA site for the wind speed forecast always looks like a giant dick?
Yeah, it's true.
It's like this purple area is where the balls are. Then as time goes by, just this all elongated dick comes out. So that's when the storm comes and really fucks you over.
They use the old flag system.
Yeah, Catherine Zeta-Jones gives new meaning to the spiritual "Go Down Moses." All right.
There you go.
Let my people go.
Let's do a temperature check.
Or maybe even Methuselah. Who knows? The 10,000-year-old man.
Yeah. 97.9.
Methuselah. Jesus Christ.
And it's true, Jacob. I mean, where is Freddie anyway? Who is he? Where's he at?
Freddie Kitchens I think he's the tight ends coach for the Giants.
Giants. That's a perfect place for him.
Yeah,
let him rot there. But that is.
I am right. He's the tight ends coach for the New York Giants.
Yeah, I mean that's an incredible fall from grace. I mean, in 1 minute, I mean you're handed the keys to the car, and the next, I mean you're riding the bus. That's tough.
The short bus with Daniel Jones.
Yeah, here's a rim shot. Thank you, Rick.
At least he got Evan Ingram to work with. You can't screw up that talent too badly.
Here's a suggestion. Yeah, well, Weather Underground. Did you know that Weather Underground and Weather.com are both owned by IBM now? And we're going to talk a little bit about that in a few minutes. But, I mean, it's incredible. Is there anything in this world that isn't being consolidated?
Your show.
Not much.
Yeah. The Denzel...
Bowhead Radio, now sponsored by...
The Denzel Ward is tied
Kings
in the NFL. We have two guys. We have Myles Garrett, we have Denzel Ward. They're having really tremendous seasons, but it's hard to see through the Swiss cheese that surrounds them. So it's hard to get all excited about the two guys who are really playing exceedingly well when they can't be the difference makers that you need them to be because the other guys aren't doing their jobs. That's a tough thing. As far as the picks are concerned, here's Pro Football Talk, which is NBC.
NBC.
One is picking the Browns to win 21-20. Florio is picking the Browns to win 24-20. That's that. And you're going to start hearing a few things. Here's your ESPN people. Gutierrez is picking the Raiders 28-27. Trotter is picking the Browns 27-26. The FPI prediction is that Cleveland has a 55% chance of winning. But, this isn't the stuff of which a consensus is made. And the Sporting News has picked the Raiders to, quote, upset the Browns. I don't think anything. The only thing that would be an upset would be if somebody blew somebody's boots off,
Yeah, and with that for fucking 9 million yards.
Right. I mean, there's that possibility. So with that in mind,
Bo Jackson ain't coming through those doors, folks.
Yeah, we gotta pick the game, and we're gonna start with Tony the Calf. Tony, this is your moment to shine. What's your pick?
Weather. Well, knowing the weather now has completely drastically changed my pick. I was gonna go 34-24 Browns, but I'm now gonna go 6-3 Browns. I think it's gonna be just a riveting. You'll want to pull your fucking eyeballs out with a plastic spork fucking type of game. But yeah, I'm gonna go Browns 6, Raiders 3 in a barn burner.
Brian?
I'm gonna say it's gonna be more like 23-18 or something. Browns.
All right. And Bronk.
Give me a paper chase John Houseman introduction, like fill the room,
Okay. Bronk, fill the room with your intelligence. All right, there.
All right. The Raiders are going to want to come play this game. Browns are going to win 30-6. We're going to kick their ass. Derek Carr's going to have a miserable game. We're going to run for 200 yards. Baker's going to have 3 touchdowns.
Somebody's taking happy pills.
We're going to win. We're going to win big.
All right. And for me, I think it's going to be like one of these 23-17 games, and the field goals, the Browns will win 23-17. The field goals in a game like this are going to be more of the chip shot variety because, again, it is going to be really hard not only to sustain drives to the win, but if you're doing it through short passing yardage.
I don't think anybody's going to kick. There's going to be like missed extra points and shit.
No, I think you're going to have like chip shots. I think that it might be hard to get into the end zone. I really do. I think that might be difficult because running the ball down in the slot might not be the easiest thing in the world. Don't bring it up, Amsterdam. You'll wish it into existence. Let's get some of the word from people. Big Lurker UK, there you go. He's saying in overtime. Like, you don't want this game in overtime with all the rain. My goodness. And there's Ron.
Who had the 23, Moo?
The Browns, 23-17. Keyblade, there you go, 20-13. We're all kind of on the same page here. I is saying 24-17 Browns. We're all saying the Browns are going to win, but hey, and Amsterdam.
We've been all wrong before.
Yeah, we're all going to go down together. There is what people are saying in our chat room, and I wanted to end the program today on a completely different note because I just wanted to reemphasize first of all that I'm really excited about the game because if the Browns do manage to win this football game at 6-2, it would take a real collapse for them to really start coughing up games and flat out bleeding, not to get to the finish line.
Yeah, their schedule's pretty weak other than 3 games.
Yeah, Bronco.
The absolute great thing about the Browns schedule is that they don't have to go on a plane for like about 4 weeks. There's the Raiders, there's the bye week, there's the Texans, there's the Eagles, and then finally there's the Jaguars away, which is on something like Thanksgiving weekend. So the Browns do not have to travel for a fucking month.
Yeah.
And I wanted to point out that when you mentioned the Jags, that the quarterback who's better than Baker Mayfield, Gardner Minshew, is now got multiple fractures in the thumb of his throwing hand. And a lot of people were saying he hasn't been playing very well lately. Well, he hid the injury from the team. But even before that, there were questions about whether he was even going to keep his job. Word out of Jacksonville is that this makes for a handy excuse to get him out of there, but that they were actually talking about benching Gardner Minshew so that how quarterback stocks rise and fall overnight. It is crazy, crazy stuff.
It's pretty volatile market. Like one half sell, next half buy.
Yeah, I mean it's everyone's being judged week to week, and it's
quarter by quarter.
A system and a body of work, and you got to be patient in order to get that body of work and to make a proper analysis.
Their backup QB is Mike Glennon.
Which is Tampa nightmare, if you remember. Glennon couldn't move the ball for shit, but then Minshew hasn't either, so I'm looking something up here.
No surprises. What's the national game here in England at 6 o'clock our time? The Ravens and the Steelers. Anybody got any thoughts on that?
Yeah, that's the national game here too in the States wise.
Well, one thing I noticed about Ben Roethlisberger is that after he's getting a lot more passes knocked to the ground, batted at the line of scrimmage, and it's a major concern in Pittsburgh. I'm picking the Ravens to win that game, and I think that he can't escape the pressure that they can bring. And I know how hot they are, but he's not going to be able to escape the pressure that they bring.
That game's in Baltimore too. Baltimore's pretty good at home.
Yeah, I wanted to start or end the program that Major League Baseball's approved the sale of the New York Mets to a billionaire named Steve Cohen. And, it's a crazy situation with the Mets being the number 2 team consistently in New York. But Major League Baseball is so full of shit, I can't begin to tell you. A provision in the city's lease agreement says any new owner of the New York Mets cannot be someone who's been convicted of a felony or is an organized crime figure.
Wow.
Citi Field is where the Mets play, and it's on city land. Cohen's former company, SAC Capital Partners, pleaded guilty in an insider trading case in 2014 and paid $1.8 billion in fine. But Cohen, of course, parachuted his way out and was not charged in the case. Well, it's his company. How could he have not been charged? This is what America has become. When I talk about pigs, I'm not talking about Republicans and Democrats. I'm talking about hedge fund people. I'm talking about stock market, Wall Street people. They're scumbags. This guy comes in and look at the money he paid. The sale is valued at $2.4 to $2.5 billion to buy the fucking Lowell Mets. To put that in perspective, they tried to sell the team in 2011 for $200 million, and it fell through because a hedge fund manager couldn't make the deal back in 2011. Now, I want to do this because if I told you that there was a company that owned Axe, the men's grooming company, the deodorants and all that, Breyer's ice cream, all of the, I'm going to name these, Clear, and then Comfort, Cornetto, Day 2, Domestos, Dove, that is the soap, not the candy bar or the ice cream bar. A Fair and Lovely, Glow and Lovely, Hellman's Mayonnaise, Knorr, Lifebuoy, Lipton Tea, Magnum, Lux, Omo. What got me off on this, you remember the old ads that ran for the shaving club for men? Do you remember the shaving club for men was a guy who decided, it's bullshit to have to go into a goddamn drugstore and have to wait for an employee to unlock a goddamn thing for your fucking razor blades. I get it when it's decongestants and you can, have a little chemistry experiment in your basement and end up with something that you can sell on the street. But what's that fucking deal? Because they're stolen so much, they're going to put them behind lock and key. So they went online. And so they said, hey, we'll have this shit shipped out to you. The guy made a fucking fortune. He had these really kind of quirky ads. And if you don't remember the Shaving Club for Men, they are now owned by the same company that I just
Unilever.
Unilever is correct. We are living in a world where fewer and fewer own more and more. There's something wrong with a system where a hedge fund operator can purchase a Major League Baseball team for $2.5 billion, having paid a $1.8 billion fine back in 2014 for gaming the system and cheating.
Well, look at the Red Sox. They're owned by John Henry, who's also a hedge fund guy, who also owns Liverpool Football Club. Unilever, for those of you not familiar with the company, is headquartered in London, always has been. But they fucking own even Ben and fucking Jerry's.
And there was a revolt in Vermont when I lived there when they purchased that product.
So no, it's not. You can't say it's just America. It's fucking
world.
Everywhere.
It's the world.
It's everywhere. It's not the corporate thing that's going on.
Hey, globalism.
It's America. It's not America. It's everywhere.
Yep, and this is the world economy, and this transcends Democrat and Republican. I get very, very pissed off.
And Tory and Labor too.
Yeah, it pisses me off when people say, and don't take this personally, that our Constitution is going to be blown up if Biden is elected. Because no, the Constitution won't be blown up, but the laws that will be passed will be controlled by the hedge fund people and the pigs. They're going to be the ones who make sure that every law that's put into practice and all legislation, that they benefit from it. And you don't even know who these people are. They could be walking down the fucking street. You wouldn't know who they are. The fact of the matter is they're the quietest, wealthiest people that you could possibly imagine. And I don't care, it's like, are they Democrats or Republicans? It's like they said in Shawshank Redemption about the sisters. No, you have to be human first. You got to be a person before we can identify what party you belong to. These people are pigs. They only care about the upswing of money. This is not capitalism. This is not capitalism. This is
remotely
everything being eaten up and the little guy getting screwed. And Donald Trump is not for the little guy. Joe Biden is not for the little guy. Get over it. The fact of the matter is the companies that you're doing business with, I mean, right down to the stupid weather casting is all fucking IBM predicted by Watson. What are they using Watson, that great artificial intelligence, for? To be wrong about the weather. Why is IBM owning all of these things? Why? What does that have to do to their core business? And the fact is, it's all about eating more and getting fatter and getting bigger. That's all it's about. So when you go in and vote, don't think that one candidate is going to preserve your America, because your America is not America anymore. Your America is part of a big world economy. And no matter what they say about what they're going to do to the Chinese, don't believe them. Because the fact is the Chinese are in on this just like the Russians are in on it, all part of a big, and it's not a conspiracy, it's right in your fucking faces. It's right there in front of you. Who got the money? Who got the money when they were trying to help in the coronavirus relief package? Who got the money? You can't find a small business person who got any of it. Little guy didn't get shit. And the Trump administration wouldn't print out who got it. They wouldn't publish who got the money. We know who got the money because the stock market stayed afloat. We know who got that money. It's bullshit. And this, any way you look at it, whatever happens, on Tuesday, whatever happens, it's going to be more of the same because the die's cast. The thing that I like about sports, and the thing that always used to bother me about when I figured that these calls are going against us and this game is rigged, when a game is obviously tampered with, you know, and there's gambling and betting on the line, and there's a lot of money being controlled by that. That used to piss me off. But, you know, in a game like us against the Raiders, there ain't going to be no fucking fix-in on the game. Somebody's going to play better, somebody's going to play worse. It's something to get excited about. I like to hide behind sports because at this point, everything else from an economic perspective, I mean, you know, CNN is now running with, the stock market's going down. And it's like, but the stock market was going up before. It has nothing to do. Whoever wins this election will be put there. It doesn't matter which one it is. They will be put there by the pigs. Take my word for it. That's the way it will play out because no legislation ever doesn't benefit those pigs.
Well, I can't have anything to add to that other than what George Carlin always says in his thing. It's a little club and you're not a part of it. You know, go look at one of George Carlin's late rants because that is how it works. I mean, Unilever are unbelievable. And the thing that these corporations are doing, whether they're based in Britain, whether they're based in America, whether they're based in Dubai, they're all trying to spend money on public relations to say, oh, look how green we are. We're doing all these green things. And look at because there's going to be a billion trillion worth of dollars on these green hedge funds, which have nothing to do with being green. You know, so it's all a big, that's all a big massive
and who's financing the candidates, who's financing the protesters, the movements, who's, you know, the fact is they're manipulating everything. They're taking everyone's eye off the ball and they're swooping in and they've taken all of the money that's in the system. They have literally enriched themselves and now there's the biggest gap as far as the haves and have-nots in our country.
So all these company deficits, all these country deficits that countries are running, you know, are all being financed by the rich and these rich corporations. They are the ones that hold this debt. So instead of taxing corporations, instead of taxing the rich, governments are borrowing from them. And when you borrow from somebody, you pay them interest, they make even more money.
So vote for who your conscience tells you to vote for. And I'll tell you honestly, I mean, you know, that Comey Barrett was put into office quickly. It doesn't bother me particularly because rules are rules and you go with what the rules are. But that's what you're voting for. What you're voting for realistically is a direction in social law, not in who gets what, because the Supreme Court will always rule with the pigs. All right. They've bought everybody. What'll be is the social issues, whether it's Roe v. Wade or whatever. So
that's the last thing that's out there to change.
That's right. And so what you're doing and what we're doing as Republicans and Democrats is arguing over these little morsels while the big gobs of food are being consumed by fat pigs around us. So you vote who you feel you should vote for. And if you are pro-life, then you will vote for a Republican candidate. And if you are pro-choice, you will vote for a Democratic candidate. But in the end, the people who are served regardless. Just putting no spin on this politically, just telling you the way that it is. I hope everybody goes out and does what they should do, which is to vote. And I will say this, there was one unopposed race in my prefecture. And I wrote in a candidate because I don't believe that anyone should be unopposed. I wrote in my vote for Borat. So it'll tell you sometimes where there's no choice, there's no reason to vote. Where there's a choice, there's still a reason to vote, and you should, but don't expect to get the benefits. Don't expect your health insurance to ever be what it was 30 years ago. Don't expect that. And as far as pre-existing conditions, don't expect that'll be taken away too. It's all going to be taken away. I mean, I'm 100% certain of that. And it doesn't matter who you vote for. It goes that way. Those people get what they want. I mean, I was horrified when I found out that Blue Cross Blue Shield, who I thought was my health insurance company, isn't.
Who are they owned by?
Well, BCBS, which is what they used to be known as, now they call themselves Florida Blue, but they never said that they're not Blue Cross Blue Shield anymore. And what they do is they hire cost-cutting companies to literally, and their attorneys and their accountants to cut every line item they can cut out so that they can profit more. So your healthcare, it sucks now. I'm paying $25,000 a year in premiums, and my coverage sucks so much worse than it did 5-6 years ago. It ain't funny, and the price is more than tripled.
How much?
$25,000 a year. $25,000 a year. That's right.
Don't get me started on this topic.
No, I'm just saying that, it's an insurance policy at this point. There is, I can't get an MRI now. If I say there's something fucking wrong with my left knee, you go to physical therapy and we'll just throw you off with the minions. And that's it. You work, with a ball and chain around your foot or whatever the fuck they tell you to do off the internet.
Or you hear, "Oh, Mark, at your age, you have to expect these aches and pains."
Yeah. Or no, what they'll do.
Fucking bullshit.
No,
they do the same thing to my mom, who's going to be 84 in January.
Well, to go up the ladder on this Blue Cross thing, your company is Godwell. Godwell.com. Look them up. They're filth.
Yeah. I mean,
G-U-I-D-E.
none of us knew it.
Well, Godwell.
None of us knew that it happened. It's just a sham. And this is unfortunately what has happened. So just be aware of the fact that nothing is at face value. And I'm not a conspiracy theorist. I'm just telling you who owns what. And you can research who owns what. And just vote your conscience and be safe when you do it. I hope most of you have chosen to vote in advance and not getting into the big crowds of people. I wish everybody health and joy. And all Browns fans, I'm wishing a victorious Sunday victory dance. That I'll be with you at halftime and after the show.
Good win. It's going to be a big win. We'll be happy about
I
that.
sure as heck hope so, and I'll be with you halftime and postgame. So everybody, thanks for tuning in. I appreciate it. Back again Sunday to talk about the game. Until then, hasta la vista, Pastor Heads. Good night.
Nay.